It began as a miracle of science, but quickly became a global controversy. In the 1970s, infant formula was hailed as a humanitarian breakthrough, designed to save babies who could not be breastfed. But the potential market was small, limited only to those mothers who had no alternative. To turn this invention into a global empire, Nestlé needed every mother to adopt formula. The problem was simple: breast milk was the perfect competitor, free, natural, and nutritionally unmatched. Nestlé's solution was not scientific but psychological. They would reshape public perception, portraying formula as modern, sophisticated, and superior to nature itself. Nestlé didn't invent the playbook. They borrowed it from Big Tobacco. Just like cigarette companies had once convinced the world that smoking was glamorous, safe, and even doctor-approved, Nestlé copied the same strategy. They poured money into doctors, hospitals, and medical conferences, buying trust through the white coat of authority. Across Asia and Africa, women dressed as nurses handed out free samples and gave what seemed like professional medical advice. To new mothers, the message was clear: formula wasn't just safe, it was science. But those free gifts came with a hidden cost. The samples were designed to last just long enough for mothers to stop producing their own milk. By the time the cans were empty, breastfeeding was no longer possible. Families were trapped, forced to purchase formula again and again, turning a free gift into lifelong dependence. In the poorest nations, that choice became deadly. Formula required mixing with water, but in many parts of the developing world, clean water was rare. Babies fed with formula quickly became sick, suffering from diarrhea, pneumonia, and malnutrition. The numbers were staggering. Formula-fed infants were up to 25 times more likely to die than those who were breastfed. A product that was marketed as life-saving was, in truth, taking lives. Finally, Nestlé was called to answer for its actions. In 1978, executives were brought before the U.S. Senate. Lawmakers asked a simple question: should Nestlé sell formula in places where clean water was unavailable? Their reply was chilling. Instructions are printed on the can. It's the mother's responsibility. But many of these women could not even read the warnings, and Nestlé knew it. The world began to push back. In 1981, the World Health Organization introduced a code banning companies from marketing formula as equal or superior to breast milk. Nestlé dialed back its advertising in the US and Europe, but in Asia, Africa, and the Pacific, the aggressive campaigns continued. Even after boycotts spread across dozens of countries, investigators found that Nestlé still engaged in covert promotion inside hospitals, quietly persuading new mothers to abandon breastfeeding. Formula was only the beginning. Nestlé wanted to dominate not just food, but water itself. In wealthy nations, tap water was safe and cheap. But Nestlé discovered that with clever branding, ordinary water could be transformed into a luxury. A tanker of tap water worth just $10 could be packaged and sold for $50,000. Labels promised mountain purity and untouched springs, even when lawsuits later revealed that some products were nothing more than filtered tap water. But in poorer countries, the cost was devastating. In Pakistan, Nestlé was accused of draining local groundwater to feed its bottling plants, leaving villagers with polluted, undrinkable supplies. Families who once relied on free wells now had to buy back their own water, in bottles carrying the Nestlé logo. When asked whether water was a human right, Nestlé executives gave controversial answers, insisting that while people deserved enough to survive, water itself was primarily a commodity. If water revealed Nestlé's greed, chocolate revealed its exploitation. Kit Kat, Milky Bar, Smarties, the brands are beloved worldwide. But most cocoa comes from West Africa, where reports uncovered child labor, trafficking, and unsafe conditions. Nestlé promised reforms in 2000, vowing to eliminate child labor by 2005. But the deadlines passed. Then another. And another. Executives admitted they could not guarantee that their chocolate was free of child labor. Instead, they leaned on PR campaigns, launching fair trade Kit Kats in select markets, while sourcing cheaper cocoa elsewhere. Perhaps the darkest chapter came in Ethiopia, during famine. In the early 2000s, millions of Ethiopians were starving. Yet Nestlé demanded $6 million in compensation for a decades-old nationalization dispute. This, from a company earning nearly $4 billion in annual profits. Public outrage exploded. Critics pointed out that the same $6 million could have provided clean water for 1 million families or medicine for hundreds of thousands of children. Under pressure, Nestlé finally relented. But its reputation was scarred. Today, Nestlé is everywhere. With nearly 2,000 brands, factories on every continent, and products in nearly every home, it is the largest food company in the world. Yet behind the empire lies a record of controversy: unsafe formula marketing, water privatization, child labor, and famine profiteering. Even Nestlé itself has admitted that most of its products are not healthy, yet profits come first, always. But Nestlé's story is bigger than Nestlé. It shows how corporations can bend culture, medicine, and even morality when billions are at stake. They sell not just food, but stories. Stories that persuade mothers to replace nature, villagers to buy back their water, and consumers to overlook exploitation in exchange for sweetness. And so, Nestlé stands as both indispensable and infamous. Boycotts rise, regulations tighten, and activists shout, but the company endures, too large to avoid, too powerful to dismantle. Its history forces us to ask a deeper question: when profit collides with human well-being, who really wins?